Welcome to Week in Russia, where I examine the major developments in Russian politics and society over the past week and look at what's to come. The fateful decision of Boris Yeltsin, Vladimir Putin's last hope, deadly missile attack in Ukraine. Here are some of important developments in Russia last week and some of the implications for future political animal in Russia. President Vladimir Putin seems to have little need for politics, or at least the kind of politics driven by genuine competition and open debate about domestic and foreign policy. When Boris Yeltsin handed him reins Russia on New Year's Eve 1999, Putin inherited a system that had been endangered by some of landmark events previous decade. Yeltsin's decision to end a standoff with opposition by Ing Parliament 30 years ago this week. First, construction and the 1996 elections that gave leader, who drank heavily despite heart condition and stamina that led to quintuple bypass operation in November. New term. Following violence in October, Putin, armed with the powers of a strong presidency under constitution adopted in December 1993, turned to consolidating power and suppressing dissent, increasing state control over broadcast media and pushing out genuine opponents, legislatures and government departments at all levels. Nearly 24 years after his ascension to highest office, Putin presides over a political system in which all branches of government do his bidding. And State Duma, once vociferous lower house of parliament, has long been aligned with Duma. Kremlin. Former Interior Minister Boris Gryzlov, who served for years as Duma Speaker and as chairman of the ruling United Russia Party, once said Parliament had no place for political squabbles. When it comes to Western countries, the situation is different. Putin's Russia openly welcomes political fights and tries to provoke them when the Kremlin believes it will benefit. A 2018 Washington Post report said Russia had tried to influence 16 elections in the West since 2015, including Britain's Brexit vote, but it is not at all clear that Russia's efforts have made any difference. Russia's march to war in the weeks and days before Putin launched his full-scale invasion Ukraine in February 2022 revealed the extent of its suppression dissent. In televised meetings with senior officials, Putin made clear that concerns about the decision, which many analysts outside Russia said was a decision sharply contrary to national security interests, would be ridiculed, ignored or both. Almost 20 months later, having failed to capture Kiev, suffered numerous defeats on the battlefield, and lost much of the territory its forces occupied, Russia is still fighting a war that Putin thinks will end in Moscow's favor. Ukraine was subjugated within a few weeks, and now many analysts say his best or only hope any victory is for Western support Ukraine to decline significantly, while Kremlin's response has been muted and future difficult to predict. Par.